Hey folks, Joel Tarian here, and thanks for opting in to find out more about 7minuteworkout.com. Now, as a networking professional, you know that the long-term success of anything is not based on the opportunity, but on a great product. So in this video, after our bold claim, I'm going to show you how anybody can get in the best shape of their life training only 7 minutes a day, 3 times per week. How do I know? I became a top-level elite athlete training just that little. So in this video, we're going to show you how the body was designed to train in this way and how anybody can succeed. Then, on our second video, we're going to show you our revolutionary viral marketing system so that you can succeed in the networking opportunity as well. So we're guaranteeing success in 2 ways: to get in the best shape of your life in only 7 minutes a day, and to succeed with our amazing system on the back end. So let's get started. Hi, on today's presentation, I'm going to show you how anyone can get in the best shape of their lives training just 7 minutes a day, 3 times per week. And just as importantly, why most people hate exercise. Guess what? If you're one of those individuals, it's not your fault, and we're going to show you that today. Hi, my name is Joel Tarian. So why am I qualified to make such bold statements? Well, first, I've trained this way my whole life. I became a top-level natural bodybuilder, placing 6th in world competition. I also spent 4 years studying exercise physiology at Concordia University in Montreal, Canada. And I was also one of the most sought-out trainers and have helped hundreds achieve their exercise and fitness goals, training only 7 minutes a day, 3 times per week. I've helped people lose massive amounts of weight, build muscle, increase cardio, all just training in that short time frame. So why did I say was? Well, my career was cut short by severe aspartame poisoning. Now, for those of you who don't know what aspartame is, it's the artificial sweetener found in diet soft drinks and in protein and in other ingredients. So here's 2 pictures. The one on the left was about 4 weeks out from a competition, and the one on the right was about 5 months later with my daughter Livia. So what happened was, as I went from about 240 pounds, very lean and muscular, down to about 165. Now this is a whole nother story, but that's why I stopped in the fitness industry, and now I feel much better, thankfully. But hey folks, just a word of warning, stay away from diet soft drinks. So I had aspartame and lead poisoning. So all these little round circles are approximately 9 different lesions that actually happened on my brain. And even today I still suffer with possible multiple sclerosis symptoms. But again, I just wanted to give you a little bit more of my background on why you haven't heard about me in the fitness industry until now. So here's one of our success stories, Melissa Coho. Amazing, amazing individual. Now obviously Melissa is still on her weight loss journey, but following our principles in our program of training only 7 minutes a day, 3 times per week, she's now lost 40 pounds and 26 inches. And her strength has increased by 3 times in just the first month alone. So again, Melissa's on a journey to lose 100 pounds, and I know she's going to do it. Now here's what's really awesome about Melissa. Like most people, 98% in fact, she absolutely hated exercise before. And the reason for that is people drastically overtrain. Now she's loving her exercise program. It's something that she can stick to long term, and I know Melissa's going to reach her exercise goals. So you really have to understand the principles of fitness and improvement and adaptation in muscle to understand why only 7 minutes a day works. So I want to take you back to our nomadic days. As hunters, there were no such things, guys, as gyms. Let's face it, right? There were no gyms, there were no exercise routines, and there was no such thing as processed foods. So how did we act back then? Well, we traveled long distances every day, very slow pace, walking around as hunters and gatherers to find food. When it was time to make a kill, we moved with very high explosive power. We chased that creature down, that animal down, whatever it was, whether it was a gazelle or a deer or something, with explosive power to make that kill. So, going as far back as 10, 20, 50,000 years, it doesn't matter. The human body is designed by nature to work long or work hard. You have to understand that. It's designed by nature to work long or work hard. It cannot do both. It wasn't designed that way. And let's face it, most of us in our jobs today already work really long hours. So if you're working really long hours in your workplace, the last thing you want to do is come home and hit a hard exercise program, right? We've all been there. So here's what you really have to understand about exercise. Exercise is the process of which the human body breaks itself down and then overcompensates by building itself stronger. It's an adaptive response to a stimulus. So what do I mean by that? Well, you know, you've all been through those crazy 1 hour, 2 hour exercise programs, and the next day you're really, really sore. Why are you sore? You've broken your body down, you've broken your muscles down, okay? And that is a catabolic state. And then what the body tries to do, if given adequate recuperation, is build itself stronger to prevent that same catabolic state from happening again. Okay? So very important. Exercise provides the stimulus for breakdown, but it is the time away, guys, I got to say this again, it's the time away from the gym that provides the adaptive response for improvement. So, what am I saying? Exercise provides the stimulus for your body to improve, but it's the time away from doing any type of exercise that actually provides the benefits, helps you grow, feel better, more energetic. So again, exercise is catabolic. It breaks muscle down and breaks your body down, while the recuperation time, the time away from your exercise program, is anabolic. And it provides the muscle growth and all the improvements to your body. Okay? So let's move on here. Because exercise is catabolic, it breaks your body down, it causes the release of catabolic hormones, things like cortisol, okay? If you're doing too much exercise, and this is, guys, I want to hammer this home, this is why none of you or most people cannot stick to an exercise program unless you're a genetically superior athlete. But let's face it, if you were Lance Armstrong, you wouldn't be watching this presentation in the first place. So if too much exercise is done and you go too catabolic, it depletes the body of epinephrine and L-dopamine. Epinephrine and L-dopamine are the feel-good hormones in your brain, okay? It gives you the feelings of joy, excitement, so on and so forth. So, if you do too much exercise, it's not good for you. And we'll cover that again in just a moment. The body adapts during recovery only, the time away from your exercise program, by releasing the anabolic hormones like testosterone and increasing your L-dopamine levels, your feel-good hormones, okay? So the time away is what gives you the energy, and it's the exercise that provides the stimulus to get that energy. Now, I want you to really think about this and visualize this in your head. If you train too often, it is very counterproductive. You release a lot of feel-bad hormones and you end up quitting your exercise program. So what am I saying is most of you, 99% of you, have been training way too much. So that's why you start an exercise program. It makes you feel good, but then you exercise way too much and way too often. It creates the release of catabolic hormones. It depletes your epinephrine and your L-dopamine, which are feel-good hormones. And because those hormones and those neurotransmitters in your brain are depleted, it creates feelings of hate, sadness, frustration, and it becomes very counterproductive, and that's why you've always quit your exercise program, and that's why it's not your fault. So, if exercise is catabolic and the time away from your exercise is anabolic, providing those great feel-good hormones, then I need you to follow this logic just for a minute. Let me ask you this question. Isn't it best to do the least amount of exercise necessary to get the adaptive response to get your body to rebuild and improve? In other words, if exercise provides the stimulus for the improvement, isn't it better to exercise just a wee bit and then give yourself tons of time away from the gym to see the benefit of that exercise? So, the best way to do it is do very high intensity but short duration exercise for muscle breakdown, just like our body was designed in our nomadic days. Guys, you know, we've been told you're lazy, you're out of shape, so on and so forth. We work so hard as individuals in our jobs and so on and so forth that you already work really long days and hours. Whether it's raising kids in a family, whether it's answering your cell phone, whether it's answering to a boss, it doesn't matter. So the last thing you want to do is do this crazy long exercise program if you've been, exhausted all day long. So, here's what's important as well. The ability for the human body to recuperate after a catabolic state of exercise varies upon factors of genetics, age, muscle size, and strength. So follow this logic as well. A person who can lift 400 pounds will take longer to recuperate than someone who can lift 50 pounds because the muscle is bigger and the overall load on the body is much higher. Right, guys? You know, if somebody's lifting 1,000 pounds, it's going to take more taxing on that body and that individual than somebody who can lift 100 pounds. So I want you to take a good look at this slide here. And this is why you've never been able to stick to an exercise program before. On the far left is baseline, okay? And on the bottom is the days and after exercise. So if you are training on day 0, right on the very far left blue line, okay? At the end of day 1, which is the first day after you've finished your exercise program, which is basically down here, you can see my mouse here, right down here. Then you're in a very high state of catabolism, right here, okay? Now what happens is the muscles stay in a state of catabolism for up to 5 days. Now, what most people do is they train. What do? They train down here on day 1, and then they train again on day 2, and then they train again on day 3, and they might take day 4 off. This is what you need to do. Is let's say we're training our chest muscle. Well, this is baseline on day 1 over here, and we come all the way down, and we train the muscle, and then one day after the exercise is when we're in a severe catabolic state, because remember, exercise breaks the muscles down. Then the body will adapt and start to recuperate, and then it's at the point, like we say right here at this arrow, it's at the point where your muscles are no longer sore, that you've stayed at that baseline level. Okay? It's about 5 days, sometimes even 6 days after, or right at the point where you're not sore, where the muscles actually go into a state of anabolism and grow, recuperate, and create a new baseline. Your muscles are bigger at the top over here. Okay? So, point of where you're no longer sore. So what do most people do? They stay in a state of catabolism all the time. Okay? If you're staying in a state of catabolism all the time, it's again going to create those emotions of, I don't like this stinks, I don't want to continue to do it again. Okay? So the key is to do short duration exercise and then don't hit that same body part for 10 more days. So we're going to move on and just explain it again. So muscle hypertrophy or growth only starts to occur right about after the point when your muscles are no longer sore. What do most people do? They say, oh, my chest isn't sore anymore from my exercise. I'm not sore anymore from my exercise routine, and therefore they think it's the right time to go and exercise again. Wrong. In order to see the improvement, you need an additional 5 to 10 days after your muscles are no longer sore to see the benefit. So unfortunately, most people overtrain and keep themselves in a catabolic state. This constant state brings out, again, like I've said, the feelings of hate, dislike, anxiety. That's why you've never liked your exercise program, and that's why it's not your fault. And by the way, folks, it doesn't matter if you're an elite athlete or not. In fact, if you look at top level athletes today, their career is really cut short to 5, maximum 10 years in most sports because they're constantly in a catabolic state. And that's why most people don't stick to their exercise programs. They're constantly overtraining. Okay? So now that you understand the potential of overtraining and creating negative emotions with negative hormones, what I want to talk to you now is why training only 7 minutes a day, 3 times per week, is absolutely the best way to exercise for maximum fitness benefit. Whether it's fat loss, muscle gain, it doesn't matter. So we have to look here a little bit at muscle physiology. We have 2 types of muscle fibers: slow twitch endurance fibers and fast twitch highly explosive fibers. Now you can see here this individual from Finland is a long distance runner. He has a lot of slow twitch high endurance muscle fibers, and then the sprinter on the right has a lot of fast twitch highly explosive fibers. Now the highly explosive fibers, the type 1 muscle fibers, the type 2 highly explosive fibers have a much better potential for muscle growth. Okay? And because they have a better potential for muscle growth, you want to train in exactly that way. So the best way to train those fibers is to train them the way they were designed, with fast and high intensity. Okay? So I'm going to let you in on a little secret. 1 pound of muscle burns roughly 100 calories per day. Now, to the ladies out there who go, oh, I don't want to be bulky, that's not what we're talking about here. By the age of 40, most people have lost about 10 pounds of muscle as compared to the age of 21. So what we're talking about here is not these females that get big and bulky. We're talking about the muscle mass that you used to have when you were young and lean, okay? So around the age of 21. Now here's the good news. With high intensity training, you can actually gain that 10 pounds of muscle that you lost before. Now, 1 pound of muscle, I have to say it again, burns about 100 calories per day. So if you look at the endurance runner versus the track athlete, the sprinter, who has a higher metabolism at rest? Of course, the sprinter, because he has more muscle mass. Now, for every pound of muscle you carry, if you gain 10 pounds of muscle and just that lean, muscular look, not bulky, you're going to be burning an extra 1,000 calories per day. Okay? Think about that. 1,000 calories per day burning, doing absolutely nothing. So the good news is 7 minutes of exercise will help you gain back the youthful muscle that you lost. If you gain back what you had at a younger age, your metabolism will be about 1,000 calories faster at rest. Now, think about that. That's 1,000 calories burnt per day for doing absolutely nothing but 7 minutes of exercise 3 times per week. Is the equivalent of doing 1 hour of treadmill every single day. So again, if you replace and build some of the muscle you lost when you were younger, you'll actually be burning an extra 1,000 calories a day. So that's one of the biggest fallacies. A lot of people say, well, my muscle turned to fat. That is impossible. You cannot convert protein into fat. What's happened is you've lost some of your muscle mass, you've kept your caloric or food intake the same, so your muscles have shrunk, and because they've shrunk, your metabolism has gotten slower, and you've kept your caloric intake the same, which means you're now depositing that as fat because you don't have the same amount of muscle mass necessary to burn those calories. Okay, so why muscle failure? Why do you want to work out 7 minutes a day with high intensity? Well, muscle contraction is an all or nothing response. When a muscle moves, some of the fibers contract, whereas others do not contract at all. So in other words, when you're lifting something that's 5 pounds, you'll use some of your muscle fibers, maybe 5%, as to compared if you're lifting something that's 40 pounds, you might use 20% of your muscle fibers. Now, positive momentary muscular failure is the stimulus for improvement, and that can be done very, very quickly. So to get all your fibers working, you need to use a decent amount of weight and bring your muscles to positive momentary muscular failure. At the failure point is the only time when the muscles have been stimulated to improve and grow. So how do you hit positive momentary muscular failure? Why? Well, it's really just by exercising in high intensity but very low duration, maybe for 20 or 30 seconds. This only needs to be done 1 time per exercise. Again, doing multiple sets is counterproductive. It provides you that overtraining. So imagine just doing 1 set of push-ups to failure. That's all you need to do. And that it is that stimulus, just like that sprinter who explodes in power but becomes fatigued by the time they hit that 100-meter mark. Okay? So a proper amount of weight needs to be used at no more than 12 reps. Failing at a higher rep range is causing failure for the wrong reason. Okay? You get what's called lactic acid buildup. At a higher rep range, the muscles fail not because they are tired, but fail because of a lactic acid buildup. They fail because of lack of fuel. They become poisoned, not because the muscles have failed under the strain of a heavy weight. So what does that mean? Well, when you're training at high intensity to positive momentary muscular failure, you want to try to fail your muscles within 8 to 12 rep range. Okay? 8 to 12 movements of the same movement. So whether it's 8 to 12 push-ups, and let's stay on the push-ups as an example. If you can do more than 12 push-ups, then what you need to do is just have somebody push on your back. But you only have to do the push-ups once to positive momentary muscular failure. Okay? Positive momentary muscular failure is just like a stick of dynamite or lighting that fuse of dynamite. You only need to light the fuse 1 time for that dynamite to explode. It is the exact same thing with exercise. You only need to get your muscles to fail 1 time to provide all the benefit. And let's face it, you can get your muscles to fail in a very short period duration, and it's quite easy to do And it's quite pleasant as well. It provides the higher levels of epinephrine, which give you those feel-good hormones. So, sadly, here's why most people start with great intentions, but unknowingly they are in a constant state of overtraining because they're probably training every day. Maybe they're not allowing their muscles the full 10 days they need to recover, and they're constantly catabolic. Again, remember, exercise is catabolic. It's the time away from your exercise program that provides all the benefit. So to say it again, the exercise provides the stimulus for improvement, but it's the time away from the gym that actually provides that improvement. So because most people exercise way too long or way too often, provides those emotions of hate towards their exercise program. Just the right amount of exercise, 7 minutes a day, 3 times per week, will actually get you to love what you do. Now let's face it, people will naturally discontinue something they dislike. If you're in a constant catabolic state, you will dislike your exercise program. However, the right amount of proper duration of exercise can also bring out the feelings of high energy and well-being, something that people like and stick to. So if you train, I guarantee, only 7 minutes a day, 3 times per week, you'll actually bring out the biochemical reactions in your brain that cause you to love exercise. So now you know why 98% of people have never stuck to their exercise programs. They do it for way too long, and they do it improperly, which brings out feelings of anguish, hate, dislike, all those negative emotions. Just 7 minutes a day, 3 times per week of proper exercise will bring out feelings of joy, well-being, and let's face it, when you do things that you like, you stick to it. 7minuteworkout.com is a system that people can stick to. So there's some pretty compelling stuff I've shown you there on how to get in the best shape of your life training only 7 minutes a day, 3 times per week. On our last video, we're going to show you some of the results that are very typical that our beta testers have seen training for only 1 month in this fashion. However, on our next video, I want to show you our revolutionary commissioned viral marketing system. These are all the turnkey tools that we've created to help guarantee your success with this very, very unique home-based business opportunity. I'll see you on video 2.